So, what's up, guys? This is Stacy from Becoming Financially Fit. Here at Becoming Financially Fit, we talk about personal finance, financial literacy, savings, investing. We also throw some entrepreneurship in there as well. So, if you're interested in any of those topics, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the bell to be updated anytime I post new content. I gotten a lot of questions about my entire podcast setup, and the podcast is Money Talks the Podcast. So what I do is in that podcast, I have different individuals on the show talking about their personal finance journeys. So what I wanted to do was give you guys a behind the scenes look at every piece of equipment that I have and actually how my setup works. Okay, so first things first, the core of a podcast is the mic that you use. And the mic that I currently use is the Shure SM7B, and this is the Cardioid dynamic microphones. And these are some of the best microphones on the market right now. And the reason why I use these instead of a different mic is because these have been used by some of the most famous recording artists and also famous podcasts as well. So when I was looking at mics, I thought about what should I get, and these are more top of the line mics. So what I did was I invested in two of these because my podcast setup is usually me here on one side of the table and someone else there on the other side of the table. So these are going to give me the best sound for my money. And currently, if you were to look out on Amazon, these are going for $3.99 on Amazon, and you might be able to catch them for a deal, but I'm going to leave a link down to the description for this mic so you guys can know exactly which mic I'm using for my podcast. And just to give you guys an example of what the mic sounds like with and without the Shure SM7B, I'll give you guys kind of an A and B test. So right now I'm recording on the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, and that's something that we use on top of our cameras when we're recording the podcast, just as an alternative source of volume. When I switch it to the Shure SM7B, you can definitely hear the difference almost immediately as to when I switch from this recording device to that recording device. So the next thing on the list is going to be the mic stand. And some people may think that it comes as a package deal, but when you're actually purchasing the Shure SM7B, the only thing you get is the mic and this holder, but it actually has to connect to a stand. So some people would connect it to, let's say, a boom arm, but what I do for my particular purpose, I connect it to this stand, and this stand is the Samson Technologies Samson MD5 desktop microphone stand, and these are very, very sturdy. They really do the job, and right now these are going for $14.95 on Amazon. So if you guys are looking for a similar setup to what I have, that kind of sits right at mouth level, so when somebody's having a conversation, it's very normal. They don't have to like duck down, or they don't have to look up or pull something in front of them. And this is a pretty good stand. You guys should look into the Samson Technologies Samson MD5 desktop microphone stand. All right, so the next thing on the list is going to be the XLR cables. So in order to power these very powerful mics, you need cables. And so these XLR cables go into something that I call the Cloudlifter, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But in total, if you're doing a 2-mic setup with the Shure SM7B microphones, you're gonna need a total of 4 XLR cables. 2 are gonna be connecting to the mic and into the Cloudlifter, and then the other 2 are gonna be connected from the Cloudlifter into your recording device, and I'll get into the recording device that I use here shortly. But the XLR cables are pretty cheap. Sometimes if you're getting the Cloudlifter, you can get a combo package, but the cables I got were the Cable Matters 2-pack, and that's premium XLR to XLR cables, and those are currently going for $12.99 on Amazon. And like I said, I'm going to leave a link down in the description with every one of the pieces of this particular setup. So now when we're talking about things that go alongside these particular mics, the Shure SM7B is something called a Cloudlifter. And for my particular setup, what I do is I use 2 mics. So I use the Cloudlifter, it's called the CL2 Cloudlifter. And what that means is that I can plug both of these mics into one particular Cloudlifter. And then I have 2 additional, like I said, XLR cables that go from the Cloudlifter into my recording device. And so what the Cloudlifter does, it actually gives it a little bit more amplification. So when the sound is coming to the mic, going through the Cloudlifter and into the audio recording device, you're getting that perfect crisp sound that you guys hear in my podcast. So the next thing on the list is going to be the audio recorder. And for this particular setup, what I use is the Zoom H6, and this is going to be a 6-track portable recorder. And I use this just because it's so small and compact, and it's very easy for me to just throw in my book bag or my recording bag and just take it on the go. It actually takes batteries, or I can power it as well with a power pack that I use from time to time, but it's pretty simple. And like I said, out of the box, it comes with a couple of different accessories, but what I do is I plug in my 2 cables to the first and second particular position of this Zoom H6 recorder. I hit the button and I'm good to go. For this particular recorder, I had a leftover memory card. It's a 64 gigabyte SanDisk Extreme Pro. It's a little overkill, but it only costs $20 right now on Amazon. And so for this particular unit, that can record almost everything I need to. I never need to dump the audio or anything like that. And so right now I'm only using 2 of the ports, but I think in the future, let's say for season 2, I'm going to be getting some additional mics, some additional Shure SM7B mics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug those into the other side of this. So in total, out of the box, you can actually connect 4 Shure SM7B mics to it, but then you would need some additional Cloudlifters and also an additional auxiliary port to plug in some of those extra mics. But like I said, for what I use, the 2 mic setup, this is actually a perfect tool for me. And so right now the Zoom H6 is going for $307.89 on Amazon. So if you guys are looking for something that's going to be able to record not only the Shure SM7B mics, but also USB mics, or you want something that's going to help you plug in these mics directly to your, let's say, your MacBook, this is a great option for you. And so when you're recording your podcast, this is something that may be optional, but I like it because it allows me to monitor the sound that's going on at any point in time during the show. And so I have the Sennheiser HD 280 Pro, and I use these 1 pair for myself and 1 pair for the guests that I have on the show. And these are really, really great mics for monitoring that audio that you would have in your particular podcast. And for these are something that I picked up each for $94.95 on Amazon. So like I said, I'm gonna leave a link in the description with these particular headphones, but you can really use anything you need to. The reason why I picked these out, and I got 2 for my particular setup, is because I want everything to look similar in the black color for the black mics as well, and they're both the same style of mic. So what I did was I went out and I purchased these 2 to add to my podcast setup, and it's been great. During the podcast, when myself or the guest wears them, you can actually hear everything that's going on. So if there's some outside noise, you can hear that from these particular set of headphones, and they're just good to listen to because if someone, let's say, gets out of the zone of the microphone, they can hear themselves, so then they'll kind of lean back in, and then you can actually continue that conversation. Now, if you're just looking to get into the podcast game, everything that I just described, you'll be able to pretty much get up and running and start your podcast, but that is the audio version only. If you then want to get into something like video and start to put things out on YouTube or Instagram or other social media platforms, then you're going to need something about the video. And so what I did was, when I first started recording, I was using a Canon M50, but then I noticed that I want to shoot all of my podcasts in 4K, and I want them to be super crispy and give you that cinematic look. So what I went with for shooting the main camera, the thing that goes on to the guests, is the Canon 90D, and this is a great camera because you get 4K, and this is going to be, it keeps the autofocus when you're doing the 4K, and I paired this particular camera with one of the most recognizable lenses in the game, and this is going to be the Sigma 18-35 art lens, and these 2 pair together well, and I'll show you guys a clip of what they look like in action.
You should not, people think that, hey, look, I'm going to make money. I'm going to go into the stock market. All these FX scams and all these things like, oh, yeah, I'm an FX trader. I'm doing that.
Binary option, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is not binary options. Exactly. No, this is not, you shouldn't be, that's not how you're going to make money. That's not how you're going to, you don't buy a stock today and then worry about it the next day and think, oh my God, it's doing bad. No.
Okay, and if you guys are looking for something like the Canon 90D to get your 4K podcast up and running, the Canon 90D currently on Amazon is going for $11.99, and also the Sigma 18-35 art lens is going for $604.75. So I would definitely think, if you want the top-notch audio and video quality, the Shure SM7B with the Canon 90D that shoots in 4K with dual pixel autofocus, and the Sigma 18-35 that also has autofocus, is a great combination for you. The next thing that I use in my podcast setup is something called the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. And this is something that I use in my everyday video shooting. This is something that I already had in my setup, but this is something that I currently use for our backup sound. So if for any reason the sound were to go out, I would use the sound that's recording straight into the camera from the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. And this is a great all-around mic. And when it goes into the entire setup, I think this is probably the best setup you can have for your money with the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. And currently this is going for $241.99 on Amazon, and I'm going to leave a link down in the description with this particular mic. They do have a couple of other setups, but the thing I like about this is the fact that this has a rechargeable battery, and it comes out of here. If you ever need to recharge it, you can use this to recharge it. You can also recharge while you're recording. So if you were to plug in this particular mic into your camera and then plug in the power cord, you can record and charge at the same time. Another plus about this particular mic is the fact that when you're actually turning on and off your mic, it automatically turns on and off. And so that's a really, really good thing, because there have been some instances where I go to record a video and I don't notice till the end that the mic was off. So this is a good mic because it automatically, like I said, turns on and turns off, so you never lose your audio. All right, so another thing that a lot of people may overthink, but I want to make sure I let you guys know, is the memory cards that I use. So in my camera, like I said, I use something called the SanDisk, and this is the 128 version, 170 MBS. So this is a very, very good memory card when you're recording things like 4K video, because they can fill up super fast. So I recommend something with a larger size. Like I said, this one's 128 gigabytes. And it's actually reasonably priced. Right now it's going for $37.88 on Amazon. And for my audio recorder, I use half the size, so 64 gigabytes. And I just did that because I was using the 64 gigabyte on my old camera, and I wasn't really shooting a lot of 4K, but when I did upgrade to the Canon 90D, I started shooting 4K. So this 128 gigabyte memory card from SanDisk, the Extreme Pro, is a great option for recording 4K video on your Canon 90D. Another thing that comes with the camera is the battery, and Canon has some of the best batteries on the market. But since I do record podcasts that are about an hour or an hour and 30 minutes long, and I do have multiple guests in a single day, it's always a good idea to buy a backup battery. And so this is the battery that comes stock, but then I have another one inside as well. And so this battery is the Canon Battery Pack LP-E69, and these batteries last forever. So usually when I'm recording, I'll only use 1 to 2 batteries. And the good thing about having an extra battery is when you're using one, you can be charging the other. And so that's what really gets you through the entire show. And so like I said, when I record, I do record for a couple hours at a time. So these batteries can get me, at least 2 batteries can get me through the entire show process. So if that's recording 1 episode or 2 episodes, I can do that, like I said, with only 2 batteries. So if you guys are looking for an extra battery, I would highly recommend you go with a strictly Canon product, and this product for the battery is the Canon Battery Pack LP-E6N. And now every setup is different, but the setup that I use indoors, so what we did was we needed some type of artificial lighting to actually, bring out some of the colors and make that 4K look super crispy. So what we did was we got a lighting kit, and this lighting kit that I have is actually the 3-piece lighting kit, but for this particular recording setup, we only use 2 of the lights. And they are the Crafty Professional Photo Studio Softbox lights. And we have one set up right behind me, and usually the camera is set up right here going to the main guest. And then we have another one that's pointing directly to me right now. And so this is actually really good, because the more light that your camera has to use, the better your photography and your video will be. So this particular setup for the 3 light package costs $81.99 on Amazon currently. Sometimes they do have deals. Sometimes you can get it for cheaper, and you can also purchase the two lighting package setup. So we'll look something similar to like this. But if you guys want to get this, I'm going to leave a link down in the description below, and it's very simple to set up and break down, and it probably takes me 2 minutes to set this up. And it has a cord on the back, and when you hit the cord, the light will turn on. It'll look something like this. When you're done with it, you can turn it off, and it's a amazing lighting package if you're on a budget for your podcast video setup. If you guys saw anything in the video that you have questions about, or let's say something like this that I really didn't mention in the video, and you have a question, just drop a comment below and I can answer any types of questions you have. There are a couple of different small things like adapters or cords that we really didn't talk about, but are pretty integral parts of the entire podcasting process. But like I said, if you guys have any questions, just drop a comment below. So guys, just in summary, that was my entire podcast setup for Money Talks the Podcast, hosted by Becoming Financially Fit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link or a card up here in the video where you guys can click in, look at some of the videos that I put out. I do have some interesting videos, so I'm pretty sure you guys would like them. But also, just to remind you guys, I'm going to leave a link in the description to all of the content and all of the equipment that you saw today. So I'm going to leave a link down in the description below. And if you're thinking about total price, the total price for specifically audio only is going to be around $1,873.10 plus tax, so around $2,000 for the premium podcasting audio setup. And so that's going to be literally top-notch audio, the best money can buy, in my opinion, for two individuals recording a podcast. And then when you add in the first camera, then you're looking upwards to 28, that's for the camera and everything that goes with it. And then if you're looking at the entire package, it's around $5,500. What I did when I was first starting out is I would buy things piece by piece. So if you're actually just starting on your podcast, you don't have to use this as the total guideline. Just know that all you need is 2 cameras, 2 mics, some type of recorder, and that's really all you need to set up and start podcasting. If you don't want to do video, you don't need the cameras, and you can just go with the mics, and I would advise that as well. The best thing you can do right now is to just get started. Even if you want to use your phone, do anything you can to take that first step. But if you guys like the content that I'm putting out, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated anytime I post new content.